My name's Darrell DeRosia. I'm going to talk a little bit about what it takes to do a massive temporary event and what we learned as a result. I took a little break from Comcast last year, and Colleen called me up and said, "Hey, we got this event coming up. Can you come help out?" So came back, and I'll show you the picture of what she sent me to get me to come back here in just a minute. So we'll talk a little bit about overview of the event, target objectives, what we did for planning, installation, event monitoring, and then we'll end up with the results. So the Pope was coming to the East Coast. We were concerned about downtown Philadelphia. We expected about 1 million plus people. We had 2 days for the event, and we had about 2 weeks prior to actually get equipment in town, get it configured, get it staged. And there was a lot of moving pieces. So we actually contracted Cisco Advanced Services to do the configurations of the access points, the controllers, and the core infrastructure. And then we handled all of the public infrastructure that we already have. So everybody had to be badged prior to coming on site to get into the security zone. Unfortunately, I missed the cutoff, so I wasn't actually on site. I had to help remotely during the event. So, worst part, there were no cars, motor vehicles, anything allowed inside the security perimeter. So, as a result, we had guys riding around on carts. And here's the picture that Colleen sent me. This was the last time in 1979. They said, "We need Wi-Fi for something that's going to look like this." This is all we had to plan on. We had nothing else really on what to expect as far as number of people. It's not like the Pope comes to town every year and this is a repeatable thing. So we had to do some math, and we had to figure out. So we took a map of what we have. This is existing Philadelphia coverage. The big green circles are outdoor plants, and the other ones are indoor in some other form. So we knew we needed to augment our coverage, and we didn't know exactly where the people were going to be. So we had to make some assumptions. And our objectives were get as much Wi-Fi as you can. So we're like, okay, they're going to bring in these Jumbotrons, temporary stages. We can use those as mounting assets. No idea how much bandwidth we can get or what we can do. So we had to do some math and some assumptions. We had a general idea of the service areas. This is where the events were. Over to the left on, that's where the Jumbotrons are. They're outlined in orange there. And to the right, we knew we couldn't cover that. We didn't have any plant. So we had 2 10-gig links coming out to our trailer, and we had Jumbotrons along that service area. Our objective was kind of spray and pray that we were going to get coverage and that we were going to be able to meet the objectives. So here's kind of a map of where the Jumbotrons were. Again, on the orange and yellow on the left side of the screen. Those are the Jumbotrons we were able to cover. So we had a 10-gig link going to each stage and some APs on there. So here's our math. We had no idea what we could actually get. So we made some assumptions. We made some assumptions that we could get about 3 people in a square meter. Is that right? I have no idea, but we assumed it and we went with it. And we figured, about 0.75 devices per person. We knew we couldn't bring laptops in. We knew we weren't going to have iPads, so it was all mobile phones. And, 50% of the people were going to use the service. So we run the numbers. We said, okay, we need about 5.6 gig to service the stages. Thus, we got 2 10-gig links. And we were pretty close to that, actually, on what we got with the actual results from the Jumbotron network. So did we have any supporting data? We didn't really know. There wasn't another event to compare, right? So we took what was publicly available from the Super Bowl and All-Star game at the time, and it kind of backed up our initial numbers for per user data. We said, okay, here's a map of what we got from the event people of what the Jumbotron's going to look like. This isn't very detailed. So this we had up until about 3 weeks before the event. So we're like, okay, 8 APs, maybe. What are we going to do for co-channel? You know, how are we going to get things covered? So again, we kind of look back here. We kind of knew what we could cover just from physics, right? So we're like, okay, how do we position these? What do we use? So we got a 10 gig switch to each Jumbotron, and we put 8 APs, and we adjusted the tilts as best we could. Kind of a map of the logical. We ran fiber directly back to the core switch. We had the wireless LAN gateway there, controller rather. We had a ASR rather, 1000, and a few other things there to handle the user traffic. So the project team, when they contracted Cisco AS, missed the fact that they weren't going to do the physical installs. So our business unit actually was running around doing physical installs with the staging crew. So the picture on the right here, or I'm sorry, on the left, is kind of how they were mounting them. That was one of the people that took pity on our business guys and decided to help mount. The middle picture is actually how we prefabbed things, because we had a little bit ahead of time to actually set things up. So they were able to just move those up, run the Cat 5, and go. So what did we look at during the event? General utilization, the opinion score for Wi-Fi, and we also looked at what the noise floor was doing on the wider estate, and this is kind of how we looked at it. General utilization went down a little bit, as you can kind of see, from normal, and so did the mean opinion score. So we also monitored traffic coming in over the whole estate. So it was interesting to see, you know, the traffic went up a little bit, but not a whole lot, because we had a week leading up to it that everybody was in town for the event. But this is over the overall estate, and this is excluding the Jumbotrons, which is where everybody was at. So the results. We transmitted 114 terabytes of data, 4.3 million sessions, and 250,000 unique users. And we didn't get many phone calls either, even on the home plant. It's amazing what happens when you set your captive portal to free, click through. So that's all I've got. Any questions? What kind of applications went through the network?
Yeah, I mean, they were looking at porn at the Super Bowl.
That was not what they were looking at with the Pope. There was a lot of pictures taken, obviously, and uploaded, and video that came across. Had a question over here? Is it Eddie?
Yeah, why didn't you just use the Xfinity SSID from all the router racks everywhere?
We used that too. That was that picture right there. But we couldn't cover the parkway. There's no houses there, right? And there was no outdoor strand mount there. So we had to augment that coverage. So, yes?
Do you have a per user cap?
The question was, did we have a per user cap? Absolutely not. Air was the limiting factor, as is common practice in most high density. Yes? The average session length, I don't have that information available immediately. Yes? If I would have saw it, I would have crushed it.